My name is Sarah Howell Miller. I am a United Methodist pastor, and I'm on staff at a Methodist church in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And at our church, music is a really, really important part of our service. We have sort of a blended worship style that includes jazz and spirituals, as well as more traditional hymns. And we're just accustomed to having really great music and great congregational singing. So it's been very challenging in this time to capture that spirit. We are fortunate in that our musicians at church a number of years ago recorded an album of a lot of the service music that we use on a weekly basis that's really familiar to our congregation, as well as some other special music. So we've had some recorded music that we can easily draw from, and we've put some of those sound clips into videos that either have the text of a song if it's a congregational hymn, or perhaps images of our church. We've tried to get as many images of the building and the sanctuary into our virtual service as we can, since people miss seeing and being in that space. We have also incorporated live music into our service. It's been a little more challenging. When churches were first advised to close, we were filming in our sanctuary with our band socially distanced, but we really only did that for, I think, 2 weeks. And then we went to completely shelter-in-place worship, which has made that a lot harder. And our primary musician is in a vulnerable category, and he has no access to technology in his home. So unfortunately, we've been missing our primary pianist. However, we have a lot of really gifted musicians in our church, and it's been an opportunity to include more people in ways that we sometimes do on Sunday mornings regularly, but some in ways we haven't. So we've been using a service called StreamYard that functions sort of like Zoom, and you're able to bring people in and out of the frame and have a mix of live and pre-recorded videos. And we have a couple times had musicians who kind of joined us on the stream and sang live. We've also had folks pre-record videos of themselves performing that we've then played in the service. And this has ranged from, we had just a soloist sing because he lives on Easter, and we've got a family band that has recorded something for an upcoming Sunday. One thing we did on Easter, we got a little fancier for our taste, but we have a great trumpet player in our congregation, and I was able to video record her playing along to a piano accompaniment track of Christ the Lord is Risen Today, so that we could have trumpet on Easter, which just seemed right. So we have found that it can feel a little bit awkward to do many verses of a hymn, especially if we just have a soloist or one person leading. It can feel longer than it would normally feel if we were all in a sanctuary singing together. So one thing we've done with a lot of our songs is that we have shortened the number of those selections, and that seems to be working well, but that's something we're continuing to play with as we move. Something else we did, there's a bass player that often plays at our church, jazz bassist, really gifted. We did a online Good Friday service of seven last words, and we're just trying to think of music to use for kind of the transitions and, running up into copyright stuff, just trying to find something that felt like our church. And we were able to get this bass player to record some bass improvisations on public domain Lenten hymns, and then intersperse clips of those recordings throughout our service. And that was really effective. It worked well for the mood, and it was one of our people. That has been something that's been really important. That same bass player, we had a matriarch of the church pass away just before the pandemic got really serious. So we've not been able to have a real funeral for her, but we had an online memorial service. And the same bass player recorded a bass part of I'll Fly Away, sent it to this jazz singer that has done a lot of worship with us, and she sang over it. And so then we had that recording that we got to use in her online service. So there's been a little bit of collaborating over virtual spaces, and we hope to try and do a little bit more of that. We even got a little out of the box. We have a percussionist in our congregation who plays a handpan. If you haven't heard of that before, you should look it up. But it's a melodic drum instrument. And he had a video of himself playing an instrumental composition that he shared, that we used as sort of a meditation moment during our prayer time. And we have a couple other musicians in the congregation who have done like electronic music compositions and other things that we're reaching out to them as we go and asking if they'd be willing to put something together that we could use in transition moments. Because, you know, sometimes in church, at least for our style of worship, often if there's a transition, the pianist is going to noodle, we call the technical term. So we're looking for different ways to include that in our digital offerings. We're getting creative. We don't have a tech department. I kind of am the tech department, and I'm a half-time clergy person on staff. But we're figuring it out, and we're grateful that our congregation is very engaged with what we're offering and has been super supportive. And we miss being able to do music the way that we usually do, but are doing everything we can to continue to carry that spirit into our service. So thanks for this opportunity to share, and I look forward to hearing from other people about new ideas that maybe we can try going forward.